It's your boy Charles. Charles on as well, just checking in. Hope you guys having a good evening. We are getting ready to delve into another book audio reaction. Let's go ahead and play it, and I'm gonna come back with my reaction. Appreciate it, guys.
The two of them with DOC plan to start a label called Funky Enough Records, named after the DOC
hit song. At this point, DOC believed his voice could still potentially be rehabilitated. Suge began auditioning rappers out of Klein's Beverly Hills office, even recruiting up-and-coming rapper-producer DJ Quick for the label. But DOC was getting cold feet about the venture. To succeed, he felt they needed something more. They needed Dre. So, Suge began strategizing how to get the producer on board. He quickly surmised that Dre was disgruntled with his contract, the same document that caused Ice Cube to walk. By this point, Dre and Eazy had been tight for about 5 years, but Dre was growing increasingly irate about his earnings. He wasn't poor. He had his Calabasas mansion, but Dre felt he should be making top dollar, considering that the platinum and gold albums he'd produced for JJ Fad, NWA, Eazy-E, DOC, and Michel'le had generated tens of millions of dollars in sales. Remember, these were $15 CDs and $10 tapes, not $1.29 downloads. It's unclear how much Dre was paid in total, but Heller told Rolling Stone Dre made about $86,000 from Ruthless in 1992, a figure that seems almost comically low. Eazy took advantage of me not knowing the record business back in the day, Dre said. He also blamed Heller for the skewed contracts he signed. Dre resented being paid as an employee instead of as an owner. In his mind, he and Eazy had founded Ruthless together. Eazy denied this, and no one gave Dre's claim much credence, considering he didn't have any paperwork to back it up. But he may have been right. Eazy's close friend and artist Toker said Eazy later privately admitted as much. If Dre indeed co-founded Ruthless, he would have received a greater share of the proceeds, perhaps millions. Around the time of Cube's departure, Dre gradually began confiding in Suge about his financial concerns. Suge eventually began managing Dre and Above the Law. Why would the well-established Dre suddenly get in cahoots with an undistinguished, shadowy newcomer? One explanation is Suge's personality. Alonzo Williams, who'd seen Dre jump ship with the world-class Wrecking Crew during a different financial dispute, characterized Dre as easily swayed by the smell of strong leadership, by someone willing to handle financial details while he focused on making music. He was an aggressive person that cleared the way for me to go in and do what I had to do, Dre said of Suge. By any means necessary. And so, when Dre asked him to take a look at his contract in early 1991, Suge simply showed up one day unannounced at Ruthless's lawyer's office, grabbed what he wanted, and departed the premises. "We found out that Cube was right," Suge said. Ruthless was taking Dre for a ride. And not just Dre, every other artist on the roster too. Was Dre really being taken for a ride? Legally, the answer is likely no. Dre never filed any lawsuit against Ruthless. More likely, he'd simply signed an unfavorable deal, similar to decades worth of artists before him. Legality aside, Ruthless probably should have done more to accommodate their franchise player. Doug Young, NWA's promoter, and a relatively neutral third-party observer, believed Eazy should have offered to renegotiate the contracts. Indeed, Heller tried to sweeten the pot for Dre in other ways. He attempted to create a sub-label for him through Warner that, he said, would have paid Dre a $2 million advance. But Warner was clearly spooked by the FBI's letter, Jerry noted, and balked. Priority Records, Ruthless's distributor, however, did step up to the plate. Around this time, they gave Dre $250,000, according to Dre's testimony in a 1991 deposition, $100,000 for a future album, and $150,000 for back payments. Priority could afford it. Buoyed by gangsta rap, the label was later sold to EMI in a deal rumored to exceed $100 million, and co-founders Brian Turner and Mark Cerami bought homes worth millions. But they kept Ruthless out of the loop, which infuriated Heller and further strained the relationship between Ruthless and Priority, the latter of which was now the label home of Ice Cube. Turner was obviously trying to induce Dre to leave Ruthless like he did Ice Cube, Heller said. There is no legal legitimate explanation why he offered him this money. Eazy would later blame Priority for NWA's demise. But at the center of the dispute was the collapse of the relationship between Eazy and Dre themselves, with Heller's influence looming large. I'm recording platinum records and getting 2 points as a producer, Dre said, referencing the relatively modest percentage of royalties he said he was receiving. So I stepped to Eazy at this time and told him, look man, I'm not dealing with Jerry Heller anymore. I don't want him in my mixture. I said, if I'm going to stay, he has to go. It's one of the two. According to Dre, Eazy thought about his ultimatum for a couple of days and decided that he was going to stick with the veteran manager. So that was that. But complicating matters, Dre was still under contract with Eazy, barring him from
Looking for a professional photographer for your next big event? Need video of your special day? Then look no further. For $100 an hour, have a professional photographer or videographer shoot your wedding, birthday party, quinceañera, bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, anniversary party, or whatever your special occasion may be. Highlight your event with professional, crisp photos and video. Check out Charles Arness Photography on Instagram, as well as book us for your next event. Must live in the Southern California area.
Recording with another label, and Eazy had no intention of letting him go quietly. We know where your mother lives. In the popular imagination, Suge Knight is synonymous with rap world thuggery. Over the years, he's been accused of beating and murdering his adversaries, as well as financial crimes running from embezzlement to extortion. He punishes and humiliates others for the slightest offenses, some say forcing them to disrobe in front of him or to drink urine from champagne flutes. Suge has done much to propagate this image, from his mob boss-style cigar habit to his blood-red Ford F-150 Raptor, with which in 2015 he allegedly ran over 2 men, killing one and then fleeing the scene. And yet under Suge's watch, Death Row Records released some of the most beloved and important albums in music history. With a traditional suit-wearing record label executive at the company's helm, it's highly unlikely these works would have been made or had the same impact. The thing I like most about him is that he don't ever let my shit get watered down. He keeps the music real, said Snoop Doggy Dogg. He's got an ear to the street. To keep the music real, Suge twisted some arms. According to Eazy-E, he intimidated him into signing over Dr. Dre's contract. Eazy told the story numerous times, and even testified to it under oath. Though some details vary, and Dre denied any involvement, it goes roughly like this. Late in the evening on April 23, 1991, Eazy received a call or a page from Dr. Dre asking to meet up. He said he wanted to work out their differences, and so Eazy headed over to Solar, parking in the dark basement lot, and heading upstairs to a studio known as Galaxy. Dre was not there, however. Instead, Suge Knight greeted him when he got off the elevator, along with 2 or 3 bulky men. They held oversized lead pipes or Louisville sluggers, and possibly had guns bulging from their pants. One thing was clear. Eazy was outmanned and under-weaponized. He was led to a dark, soundproof room. "Where Dre at?" Easy asked. Suge ignored the question and instead levied an allegation. I heard you was trying to get me killed, blood. Indeed, Heller has said Easy batted around the idea of having Suge offed. Suge then pulled out some documents, which were purportedly designed to let Dr. Dre, DOC, Michelle A., and Above the Law out of their ruthless contracts. In one version of this story, the papers gave some concessions to Ruthless. Dre would finish the yet unreleased NWA album, Niggas for Life, and Suge would negotiate better terms for Ruthless with priority. In all versions of the story, Easy told him where he could stick the releases. At this point, Suge twisted the screws. We have Jerry Heller tied up in a van, he said, and we know where your mother lives. As proof, he presented a scrap of paper with an address, or a picture of the house, depending on the account. Whatever the case, this threat was entirely credible, considering Easy had openly stamped his home address on his earliest printings of records. And so Easy signed the papers. He was not beat up by Suge's men as depicted in Straight Outta Compton. He didn't want anything to happen to his mom, and he signed under duress, his girlfriend Tamika Woods said in the 2008 documentary, NWA, The World's Most Dangerous Group. At first he wrote, Mickey Mouse, she added, but eventually he was forced to take the proceedings seriously. What else was he going to do? Suge later denied all of this, taking the opportunity to belittle Easy. Do I need a bat to force him to do a few things? He said at an August 1993 Death Row press conference. If he walked between my legs, excuse my French, people would probably think he was my penis. One thing was clear. These releases weren't worth the paper they were printed on. Since Easy signed under duress, the releases weren't binding. He sent letters to the major record companies warning them against signing Dre. Easy may have won the battle, but Suge would not be deterred. His stunt drove home the point that Dre was truly done with Ruthless Records. Who cared if he was still technically under contract? If he didn't put forth his best efforts, it made no difference. Suge Knight kept showing up at the Niggas for Life recording sessions, leading to a tense atmosphere. After that album, and Dr. Dre's producing an experimental work from multi-instrumentalist Jimmy Z called Musical Madness that includes Ron Burgundy-style jazz flute, Dre was effectively done at the label. DOC gave yet another version of these events. He said Dre left Ruthless at his behest so they could start a label together. He, Dre, and Suge did in fact soon quietly launch a label called Future Shock, named for a Curtis Mayfield song. Their fourth partner in the venture was Dick Griffey, a veteran music industry player, founder of Solar Records and co-founder of Soul Train Records. The name wouldn't stick. Future Shock Records, Suge said. That sounds like some bullshit. It's gonna be called...
For more of these fascinating stories and true crimes, subscribe to Charles Arnis World. Thanks for watching.
So, Dre responded. Never mind then. Gold nowadays can't recall the occasion when Dre initially used the term, but it first appeared in print on March 25, 1989, when Los Angeles Times pop music critic Robert Hilburn described an NWA concert in Anaheim. Ice-T, who helped popularize the LA gangster rap image, was the...
For more of these fascinating stories and true crimes, subscribe to Charles Arnis World. Thanks for watching.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Charles Inez World, just checking in. So what do y'all think about that book, man? Pretty interesting, huh? Crazy, man. Interesting story. Listen, go ahead and leave your comments and subscribe to Charles Inez World. Appreciate it.